You are listening to Armchair Healthcare, a podcast on pills, placebos, and policy.
All right, welcome to Armchair Healthcare. What's going on this week, guys?
Well, the big news was the Intercept data in NASH, our favorite indication.
I'm assuming they cured NASH, right?
Oh, not really.
Not really?
No, not really. So they did show an improvement in fibrosis. So in the endpoint fibrosis improvement, at least one stage with no worsening of NASH, about like 10% of the patients in the high dose saw some benefit over placebo.
Yes, and so I was actually thought that was better than I expected. To be completely honest, I was not expecting them to see a statistical improvement in fibrosis. I've been skeptical of this program for a long time, but they did it. They pulled it out. They got 10% improvement over placebo in fibrosis over 18 months.
Yeah, but I don't know. Like, so in the other primary endpoint, which was NASH resolution with no worsening of liver fibrosis stage, placebo was at 8%, and their high dose arm was at 11.7%. So, 3.7% of the patients actually had a placebo adjusted NASH resolution. I mean, that's not blowing the doors off anything.
Well, the other caveat too for the fibrosis data was it was 20%-ish had improvement in fibrosis, but without worsening of NASH. So they're always slicing off some of the people that their NASH got worse for one reason or another. And I don't know if they've reported the data on that yet, right? But I'd be interested to see that just because, if this isn't really changing the course for most patients, then what's the point in using it?
Well, I mean, the data shows that it's not changing the course for most patients. I mean, it's helping a small minority of patients, and then there are a couple of issues. The major issues are both kind of adverse event related. One, 51% of the patients had itching, and this is not like you get like a little bit of a rash and you start to itch. This is there's a problem with your nerves and you're itching, but the scratching isn't helping kind of itching, which is like the worst thing in the friggin' world. I mean, it would drive you crazy. I mean, I think there are people who get suicidal when that happens to them.
Yeah, that's why I was reading a little bit about this type of itching. Like if you have a problem with your bile acids, and OCA, which is the drug in this case, is a bile acid. And so you're basically giving people more of this stuff. It mimics the sort of effects of not having bile acid turnover in your body, which can cause extreme itching, which like destroys people's quality of life. If you read the literature on it, it's like they have increases in suicides. They can't sleep at night. They are just absolutely miserable, and nothing works for it.
Yeah, so it's really not something that you would want. So 51% of the patients will have this, and then like 10% will see, or 3 to 10% will have some sort of improvement in their non-symptomatic disease. I don't know. It's just really not there. Also, the company was kind of cagey on the call related to, they had a question on something called Hy's Law, which is related to the FDA. They look for a couple of things like when they happen together, scare them. So if there's like an increase in like liver enzymes, and then also like a twofold increase in bilirubin at the same time, they get worried. That's called a Hy's Law case.
Mm-hmm.
So when the company was asked about this on their call, they were like, "Well, we don't think Hy's Law refers to any liver associated diseases, because that complicates things." And so that was their answer, but people got a little bit scared about that because it's like, did you have a Hy's Law case? Because that would freak everybody out.
Yeah, they probably had some stuff. I mean, maybe somebody progressed to cirrhosis or something like that. like one of these patients, and so they don't really want to talk about the fact that one person, or maybe 10 or however many, like people just weren't compliant, or the drug didn't work for them, and they just progressed to cirrhosis. So it's possible, but I'm of the mind that the best answer to questions is to just give people the data. Just answer the question, like talk about it. You put people's mind at ease by saying, all right, so this is a liver thing, and you do see some Hy's Law things because some people will progress. This was not going to help 100% of people. So some people will progress, and their levels will stop working. But we think our drug is a benefit. Yeah,
and also it's usually relatively easy to see if your drug is what is causing the liver issue. So like if in month 17 is when you see the bilirubin increase because of like liver worsening, it's probably not the drug. If you saw it like a day after their first dose, it's probably their drug. There's ways to analyze any of these kind of Hy's Law cases. Mm-hmm. And it could be clear if it's drug-related or not drug-related, because things happen. Just because you see you might see 6 suicides in a Lipitor trial, but that doesn't mean it causes suicides,
That's a matter of debate, Max. I think Lipitor causes suicides.
Because the mechanism for that would be reasons?
Hypocholesteremia-induced rage.
Yeah, I don't know, dude. Okay, if they're getting steroids, I'd believe you.
All right. So,
rage.
So in this case, we have a drug that barely works and a disease that has no symptoms, but when you take the drug, it causes severe itching.
Yes.
in your bones.
Yes. Sounds like a great product.
Sounds like a great product. I've actually been on the short side of Intercept for a long time, and it's good to see from me being proved right. It's the stock has not been performing particularly well.
It's down about 8% today.
Down about 8% today, and about 12-13% yesterday, and so it's already destroyed any gains they got on this news. But they'll probably get it approved.
I don't know.
You don't know?
First of all, the problem with all of these kind of data releases, they're giving you the real tip of the iceberg here. And that's really the case even after they do like the scientific conferences. They'll give you a lot more data there. But then sometimes you really don't find out the truth until the FDA advisory committee.
Okay, sure. But based on this data, I figure they're probably going to get it approved.
Well, look. Just look at it. It's about
There's nothing else out there. So, you can imagine this could be used in like certain patients.
But does it actually help in actual outcomes? We don't. The benefit is very minimal. And then you do have, everything's risk reward. So you're having between 3 and 10% of patients benefiting from this drug. And then you have, 5% of patients get severe pruritus.
That's
severe itching.
That's bad.
Yeah, that's pretty bad.
And it also makes your triglycerides go through the roof too, right?
I don't. Let's see. I think there's an increase in LDL.
Okay.
And the increase is actually relatively high, with a peak increase of 22.6 milligrams per deciliter.
In people that are already morbidly obese, there's something to be said for not making their triglycerides or not making their LDL skyrocket.
Yeah, theoretically, the FDA would be within their power for them to do a cardiovascular outcome study.
Well, a liver outcome study.
Well, no, but if it's raising your LDL,
an outcomes study.
Yeah,
yes.
I would think the FDA there's no rush to approve a NASH drug. Is there even a NASH patient organization?
I don't think so, because why would they organize? They have nothing to complain about.
Yeah, it's I was told that I have this disease, but it has no symptoms.
Yeah, it's in the comparison to high blood pressure is appropriate, because
high blood pressure is an actual silent killer, though.
It is a silent killer, but it's silent. That's the thing. NASH may or may not have some severe outcomes. If it gets to cirrhosis, if you let it go that far, yes, there's some outcomes that are significant, but there's nothing really that shows that intervening in these patients at this stage will improve outcomes.
Well, no,
Those are two different things. Like you can say that here's the body of people that NASH, some of them might progress, and we might slice off 20% of these patients. That doesn't necessarily mean those 20% patients are the ones that are going to have issues.
I think one of the issues with this drug is also it's not clear. Like, I mean, it's not really treating the disease. You know, it's kind of treating kind of one of the, I guess, symptoms of the disease, which is problem with your liver. But like, I mean, unless you really treat the actual cause, I mean, you're kind of going to progress anyway. I mean, that's probably why
eating too much food.
Yeah, so like that's why they helped with fibrosis, but they didn't really help with resolution of NASH. So like, yeah, it has some effect on fibrosis and probably could be used off-label in like different diseases where there's fibrosis because it has some effect on that, which is good. But like, it doesn't. I don't know. If you have this is sort of like a response rate kind of thing, right? Like, so in cancer, you can have a response rate with a tumor with a drug, but that doesn't necessarily mean to greater survival. I mean, that's been shown a lot. And you would think, well, if you shrink a tumor a lot, shouldn't you be more likely to survive? That's not necessarily the case. So you could get rid of some of the fibrosis, but it might not change the path of progression for these patients at all.
Well, fibrosis is what correlates more so than actual like liver fat or any other sort of description of NASH with poor outcomes.
Yeah, but like the improvement was very small.
It was very small.
I mean, it could have been noise. It could have been noise that turned out to be a high p-value, or I mean, a statistically significant p-value because it was a large enough trial. Like they might have just overpowered the trial.
Well, I think what might be happening here too, and I understand the sort of mechanism of action of OCA on, you know, the various receptors in the liver and whatnot, which is part of it, but it also might just be mobilizing fat all over your body. Like it's kind of like soap. It's going to dissolve some of the fat and cause your triglycerides to go high. And
LDL.
LDL, whatever. And just these patients might just be getting thinner because all the fat is dumping into their bloodstream and they're burning it off. And therefore, it's just sort of a general effect as it's slightly better. It's improving the effect of diet and exercise that they might already be doing.
I don't think they announced anything about weight loss. And also, we didn't see NASH resolution.
That's true. I don't think I've seen anything about that yet. I would be curious to see that.
Yeah. So anyway, Buyer Strike, he had a fun comment about this. That this drug will be much more profitable than his NASH treatment, which is stop eating like a hippo stat, because that is in the end going to be much more effective than any drug you can give for NASH. Just diet and exercise, please. It works for so many things: cardiovascular, diabetes.
But obviously,
NASH.
telling people just to diet and exercise does not work.
Maybe we should give them phentermine instead. I bet phentermine works for NASH resolution.
I bet it does.
Yeah, I think we should do that. I think we should have doctors prescribe phentermine. Maybe they should do a head-to-head trial, phentermine versus OCA for NASH. I would love to see the results of that. I bet phentermine wins hands down.
Interestingly, evidently the itching is similar in nature to the itching that you see junkies have when they're coming down off of heroin.
Oh, great. So it's a delirium tremens itch. That's great. You will really want to have that drug.
Yeah, it's that, when you see a junkie scratching, just needs to get that stuff. That's what you feel like after taking this drug.
That's awesome. That's so marketable. Oh my gosh. I mean, I don't see this really taking off. I mean, even if it's approved, and I'm not sure it's going to get approved. They did only have to hit one of the primary endpoints for this trial to be, quote, successful, based on their conversations with the FDA. But I mean, we'll see, because it's all data dependent, and this is like a marginal benefit, and there are adverse events and all that other stuff, and there's some cardiovascular implications with the LDL increase. So it's sort of like, I mean, at best it's a wash. It might even be a net negative, like in terms of the actual outcomes for these patients.
That's never stopped them before.
I mean, we'll see. But usually what helps drug get approved is a powerful patient organization, and also just kind of the heartstrings of like a multiple sclerosis, whenever there's an advisory committee, you have like all these.
So you would say
30 plus year old, like, women who are like in wheelchairs or like in canes, talking about how horrible their life is. I mean, you can't have the same public comment with NASH. I mean, you mentioned blood pressure or hypertension before, and I would say hypertension is actually a lot less of a silent killer than NASH, because when you get a high blood pressure kind of above a certain level, I mean, you do kind of feel it. I mean, you kind of feel bad. So my mom has high blood pressure, and so like she can feel it when it's like too high. So it's not so silent. I mean,
what would
it's silent
that feel like?
No, it's like you get like fatigue, and you just don't. It's just you don't feel good, Just kind of this like something's wrong with me, but I'm not getting sick kind of feeling.
All right, so what else we got in biotech news, Max?
So a few companies that have been around for a while have gone bankrupt and filed Chapter 11. There's Pharma.
Pharma has been kicking around for a while.
Yes, Aradigm, kicking around for a
I
while.
got some stories. Yeah, Aradigm's been around for a long time.
Yeah, and then also Pernix, which, is almost like a continuation of other failed companies. Because Pernix, they had bought the rights to Treximate from Posen, Hydro from Zogenix, and Silanor from Somaxon. None of those were good. So they filed Chapter 11 because, hey, when you issue debt to sell kind of crappy products that no one wants to buy, you kind of go bankrupt.
And so the idea with them was they were just going to buy these cheap and then turn them around somewhere, or just monetize them out for as long as possible.
I mean, they were kind of like a traditional specialty pharma roll-up. You acquire these, you get a sales force, you acquire a bunch of drugs, and then you just...
I feel like these guys didn't get these really on the cheap though either, because they had a lot of debt.
Yeah, I mean, I think they paid like $100 million for Zohydro. I mean, they bought these things when they were already approved, so that I don't think they paid that much.
But Zohydro was toxic. I mean, not toxic in the sense of a drug, but toxic as an asset.
It was toxic because, people didn't want another opioid. Yeah,
I mean, there was sort of a hit job run by Purdue Pharma on Zohydro. But at the time, though, everyone was really pissed off that they were approving it. But I still feel like they paid a lot of money for that and Treximate, because they just are like drowning in debt. The EV of this one is definitely in the hundreds of millions, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, so that wasn't good. And then, Aradigm went bankrupt, and my gosh, I remember those guys from like 18 years ago.
Well, yeah, they started off with an inhaler, right?
Yeah, they had an inhaler technology, and I think they had a deal with like Novo Nordisk at some point, and like United Therapeutics. So they had like deals with real companies, but the devices never went anywhere. And also, I remember when he was talking about how he had this inhalable nicotine program.
Yes, I remember that way before these e-cigs became popular.
So he might have been able to get something going there.
But they never did anything with it. I just enjoyed hanging out with good old Igor from Aradigm, because he would always, I called him Grandpa Biotech. Because he would just tell these stories. He would spin these yarns, because he'd been bouncing around with all the other biotech people for so long, and that he just knew everyone personally, and had all these like fun old stories. And so it was like this fun old Eastern European man giving me a rundown of biotech since like 1990. And he once told me a story about Martine.
Oh, really? What was the story about Martine?
Well, he's evidently one of the few people in the world that has a copy of her album.
Oh, wow.
She made an album, or at least a mixtape of her singing, performing a series of songs, which, if you have it, is a very rare find. But I know for a fact that Mr. Igor Gonda has a copy of this.
I wonder if it's like the William Shatner or Leonard Nimoy albums.
Very, very good. I can just imagine both of those being very, very good. Do they ever have a duet?
No, they have separate albums. So William Shatner's, he does a cover of Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds. Lucy in the sky with diamonds. And then Mr. Tambourine Man. So he was just doing covers from this was of course during the first Star Trek series, that he did this album, and so he was just covering kind of all of the songs. So I'm wondering if we're talking about Martine Rothblatt from United Therapeutics, super genius who also kind of invented XM satellite radio, but she has a mixtape out there where she's singing. It's got a demo tape.
Yes,
and Igor has it.
I want to hear it. Isn't Leonard Nimoy into? He's a quote unquote artist, but he into really racy photography. Isn't that right? Leonard Nimoy makes porn, is what I'm trying to say.
Really?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. You can go to a a gallery in Chelsea and see Leonard Nimoy's porn.
Okay, well, I mean, he is an actor. I mean, that's kind of isn't that kind of the case in most theater productions?
He's I've got
boffing each other.
Yeah, I've got an identity beyond Spock. I'm much more than that.
Yes, I'm not
a
so
man.
Logical. I'm emotional.
I'm not a Vulcan. I'm a man, and
I don't know. I have no response to that really.
I don't think anyone does. That's why it's oh shit. There's Leonard Nimoy doing porn.
Well, William Shatner, he must have partied in the 60s.
William Shatner seems like fun.
Oh yeah, totally.
I know he has definitely done coke off of a stripper one time, probably several times.
A green stripper.
Oh, mama.
Okay, we're deleting that part.
That's what people come to when they come to Armchair Healthcare, Max.
No,
the brilliant healthcare commentary and the potpourri of other subjects you weren't expecting.
Yeah. Okay. Well, speaking of other subjects, one I do want to talk about, just because so Brianna and some other people in the office have gotten me into The Bachelor this season.
Oh God.
Yeah. So it's fun because these people are just they're just stupid and they're crying all the time, and I don't know, it's just fun little mindless drama. I was just thinking how stupid most of these people are, and especially The Bachelor himself. They're next week they're gonna have the Hometowns episode where he gets to meet the parents of the final, I think, 4 finalists.
Yes.
And I would just so love to be one of those dads, just to kind of grill him on national TV. So what exactly do you do? What's actually your profession? Because really he's kind of known for being a contestant on The Bachelorette, and before that he was kind of an NFL football player, but he never actually played in the regular season. He was just sort of on practice squads and stuff, so he has no actual career.
Well, he's 22 or something? Before that, he was in high school.
No, he's 26.
Oh God,
he's 26 without a job. So it's what are you gonna do? How are you gonna support my daughter? Are you just gonna go from reality show to reality show? Whatever, Amazing Race is next or something. I mean, what are you going to do with this? And then also, I would love to hear his thoughts on The Trial by Franz Kafka. I just want to ask that on national television, just to see the look on his face. It'll probably look of a cow, chewing its cud.
I think it's a good thing you have 3 boys.
Oh yeah, no, I would not be good with the others. I would be very overprotective. I mean, with a boy, my eldest is 14. He wants to go on a date with a girl. I'll just give him $40 and tell him have fun. It's just a little different anyway. So just after that was just a brief interlude. I had to get that off my chest because I love just thinking about interviewing The Bachelor on national television.
Well, we're a little famous from this podcast. Maybe we can get him on the podcast.
Maybe.
Oh my God. Can you imagine?
Let's pull some strings.
Yeah.
I know some people in TV.
You do? What do they do?
They're not in front of the camera, that's for sure. I don't have friends that are that good looking.
Anyway, so the FDA issued a warning on Ambrosia, which we just mentioned 1 or 2 podcasts back. They are the company that was selling the blood of our children to people for $8,000 a liter. So
in their defense, they shut it down. They shut down their business.
Well, the FDA warned them. I mean, they kind of warned, saying there's no data backing up any claims that young blood will help you with anything. And so the FDA basically, I mean, they issued this and it went national. And then, I mean, what is Ambrosia going to do? Continue selling the product with the FDA?
Yes, because people sell all sorts of snake oil all the time.
Yeah, but I'm sure they had I didn't look at their full
People are
marketing
drinking
things.
radon water, Max.
I think their general counsel probably told them they have to stop.
Probably.
Yeah. So anyway, Ambrosia, the food of the gods, the blood of our young.
You're just gonna have to get a blood transfusion the old-fashioned way.
Their website
What do you mean,
really
the vampire
archaic.
way?
No, you just get shot and go to the hospital.
Yeah, but that's not necessarily young blood.
You can ask for young blood. Can
I have a 18-year-old?
Can I see that back? Oh no, not this one.
Not this vintage.
Yeah. It's not my favorite.
Yeah. I don't think that will work. People will think you're crazy, and then you'll get into the psych ward because you're already in the hospital. They'll put you in the psych ward
Maybe.
for being completely crazy.
But
So-
I mean, yeah, I actually, I feel like this company was sort of a sign of our times. Like, you're moving into a dystopian nightmare when people like the rich are buying the blood of the young and poor to make themselves live longer. Yeah, it's just the financial pressures there are just, it's getting a little intense. Where just to get by, I have to sell my young, sexy blood.
Yeah.
I mean, it's only a matter of time before poor people are just living underground, and rich people live in towers and live forever, and
Isn't that the
never put their feet on the ground anymore.
Isn't that the plot of Altered Carbon?
It's a plot of a innumerable number of sci-fi novels. Let's just start with H.G. Wells.
No, but that was kind of the reverse, though. The beautiful people were on in the sun, but they were all kind of stupid, and they were slaves to the mongrels living underground.
Yes, I'm just saying that's the direction we're going in. One of those.
Okay, but they're kind of different.
They are kind of different, and who knows how it's going to shape up. But, I mean, mostly dystopian nightmare. That's definitely happening.
I hope not.
Yeah, this is why I'm I need to set up shop early. It's coming. I want to be prepared for it. I don't want to participate in the dystopian nightmare and the fall of society as we know it. But I would like a bunker of sorts, say on a tropical island or something like that, where I can go to and live safely apart from society as it implodes.
See, I don't think a tropical island is a good idea when society is imploding.
No, you want all them fruits. All them delicious fruits and coconuts and stuff.
Okay, so there's one big thing that's usually missing from tropical islands, which is why they were generally underpopulated, and that is fresh water. You generally don't have you're basically getting your water from the rain. So
I've got
God forbid there's
science
a
on my
drought,
side.
or you have a desalination plant.
I've got science on my side.
Okay, so you're going.
So what?
You're going to get it from the plant.
I just need a tropical island with a river on it.
Yeah, but they don't have actual rivers. Where
how's the water getting back into the ocean?
They're small. Those islands a lot of them are too small to have rivers.
Ideally, we have a volcano too.
That's not ideal
for the lair. I mean, for my bunker.
Yeah. Okay. So you want to live on the island from Joe versus the volcano, pretty much.
You've brought up that reference before, and I'm pretty sure it's only because it has volcano in the name. There's
I love
lots
that
of
movie.
other prominent characters in literature and movies that live inside volcanoes.
Yeah, I know. And I believe the Transformers ship did crash into a volcano.
I'm pretty sure the DC-7s carrying
the Thetans.
The Thetans all crashed into volcanoes too.
Ah, those Thetans.
I think they dumped all the Thetans into the volcanoes or something. I don't remember.
Yeah, there's something like that.
I'm only like a level 1 Scientologist.
Okay. And so anyway, you don't want to live on a tropical island. Also, there's tropical diseases which are a problem, especially if you don't have access to medicine.
Yes, that's the one everyone brings up is tropical diseases like malaria, yada, yada, yada. But the thing is, if there's no other people around to have the malaria...
The thing is, you're also picturing a tropical island where you have air conditioning. I don't think you want to be sweating 24/7 all the time without any respite.
Okay, well, maybe a temperate island. That's fine. I just want a freaking island, and I would like some of the like fruit trees and whatnot, because that's really like I'm not a farmer. I'm never gonna be a good farmer, and I'm not gonna really be able to grow enough corn. So I would just like to go outside, pick some fruit off the trees. Then that's what I eat. Maybe I'll catch like a feral pig.
But it's not keto friendly, those tropical fruits. They're all high in sugar.
Yeah, that's already gone by the wayside. I'm not keto anymore. I can't manage that sort of diet anymore. So, and in the apocalypse, I'll cut some corners here and there. In that, having a strict diet maybe is one of them.
Okay.
But I'll make some luau pork. Yum.
I mean, look, if I don't know, I think like South Jersey would probably be nice.
South Jersey?
Yeah, like the Jersey Shore without the people.
I'm pretty sure Atlantic City is already in the apocalypse.
That's true. It is. Well, no, but like, okay, you get rid of the people. It's kind of nice. They have like nice beaches. You know, you have plenty of fresh water. You got rivers there.
Yeah, I want to get away from the people, because the people are the ones that are turning society upside down. Hence the island.
Yeah, but like, first of all, as we learned from various Walking Dead episodes and a spinoff, you can't escape the dystopian nightmare.
No, because these idiots never get on a frickin' boat. This is the problem. I've said this before. There is not a single zombie movie where somebody says, oh shit, you know what the best way to get away from these zombies is? Get in a boat.
No, the Walking Dead spinoff, they got into a boat.
They get into a boat, and what happens?
Well, they have to like get off the boat eventually, because it wasn't a sailboat. It had to have fuel. Otherwise, you're drifting in the water with no source of food.
You know what's perfectly okay? You know, you can just get a rope and tie it to your boat, and then tie it to land, and then float out there in a lake.
You know, that only works if there's zombies. If there's actual people there, which are, you know, as we learned in The Walking Dead, are the actual enemies.
Yes.
Yeah,
the theme of every zombie movie ever made is we're really the bad guys. We're the real monsters. Yes. Every zombie, everything ever made, that's the theme. That's it.
Yeah. And so, like, you know, thinking people will just, like, pull on the rope, pull you there, kill you, and then take your boat and your stuff.
Fine. But if you want to get away from zombies, get in a boat, guys.
Okay. But we're talking about a dystopian nightmare where the people are the enemy. And so, I don't know. I think you just kind of want to... Maybe you have to go to another country, fewer people, like New Zealand. There's, like, tons of sheep you can eat.
That's true. Like a big, big island where I could be king.
You need an island that has water. So you need probably a really big one. Like Cuba you can have. Like, you know, Cuba has fresh water.
They got coconuts and stuff, too.
Again, I don't like this, like, you know, it's very non-keto friendly. So I can't do that on my diet.
Coconuts are very keto friendly, man.
The coconut oil, I don't think the coconut itself.
It's like a nut.
It has a lot of carbs.
You love these nuts.
These nuts?
You always are eating nuts in the office. Like a little squirrel just eating nuts all day long.
Not all day long. Like, I have a couple snack times.
And a coconut is a nut. It's right there in the name. You scoop the stuff out and
hey,
a
peanut's not a nut. It's a legume.
Yes, it's a ground nut.
Versus a tree nut. So anyway, tree nuts are the ones that are good for you. But coconut, I don't think is considered in the nut family.
It's a nut.
Isn't it like a fruit or a vegetable or something?
It's the world's largest nut.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
Prove it.
Brianna, prove coconuts are nuts.
I don't think I can.
Just Google it. You're the one sitting in front of Google.
She's our fact checker.
It's a dry drupe.
It's a dry drupe.
Fibrous, one-seeded drupe.
What's a drupe? They're droopy?
Also known as dry drupe.
Dry drupe.
So they're
A drupe?
The coconut can be all three: a fruit, a nut, and a seed.
Oh, I can't deal with that.
Yes, it's
a
nut.
No. It's also fruit.
No, yes,
Fruit.
it is. The outside husk. The drupe. A drupe is...
Oh, it's classified as a fruit. Coconut is not a botanical nut. It is classified as a fruit.
See, I told you.
What is a botanical nut,
Even though the FDA recognizes coconut as a tree nut for allergic reaction reasons.
There
Well,
you go.
that's just for allergic reaction. But I'm talking about for like nutritional reasons. I think it has way too many carbs.
It has 60 grams of carbs in one medium coconut.
60 grams in a whole freaking coconut. That's not that much.
A medium coconut.
It's a medium coconut. Those are
But
small.
a medium coconut is something like 1,200 calories.
1,400 calories.
There you go.
Wow.
Wow.
How-
I did better at that than I thought I would.
How many grams of fat in that?
133 grams of fat.
Okay.
Something stupid.
Then maybe it's actually fine for keto, I guess. But I don't like coconut. I like coconut oil because it doesn't really taste that much like coconut. But I can't deal with actual coconut. Like I never liked Mounds bars as a kid.
Yum.
Yeah.
Is there any other biotech news?
Oh yeah, your favorite company, Egalet, which has previously filed for Chapter 11. So they bought another drug, even though they were bankrupt. It was an approved drug that's a low-dose diclofenac, Zorvalex. So they got into the news because they raised the price 70% on this drug, which, maybe they should have, but like literally there's no benefit to this drug, like at all. A low-dose diclofenac, who needs that? Diclofenac has been around for decades. There's lots of generic versions.
Well, there's no reason why you would want a low dose version. What if you don't need as much Well,
that's what pill splitters are for.
Well, yes.
So you do a pill splitter and you save the money. And also, why would you want to pay the branded copay for a low dose for less of something that you can get for less?
And why wouldn't just some other generic manufacturer just turn out a lower dose?
Yeah, I don't know. They probably have
They
some
can
sort of
just do a
coating.
supplement or something like that.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's probably just like they probably have this exact formulation is patented, but like obviously there's no composition of matter. And so, I mean, no generic would want to make a generic of this.
You gotta make money somehow.
No, but
Max.
this probably won't even make $50 million a year. It's probably going to be really.
Well, that's
small.
more than they were making.
Yeah, but I mean, this is like Pernix. It's like they get all these like kind of crappy reformulations together, and they try to make it work, but it doesn't really work because you kind of have to have a drug that has some benefit, over what's already available to make it sell. I mean. There has to be, or no one's going to use it. Like, yeah, you can talk about, some of these drugs where like the price is expensive. Well, I mean, like especially on the branded side, but they generally are working. And there's a reason why people would want to pay it, and payers are okay with paying it. But like all these other kind of branded reformulations, like, we're reformulating this ADHD drug that's been around for decades with. We're making it into a sachet that's orange flavored for kids. It's like, okay, I'm sure people are going to run out and get that.
I don't know what they're doing. I don't know how this gets you out of bankruptcy. This seems like a dumb idea.
Yeah, because you also have to spend money to actually sell it. It's not like, this isn't software.
They've already got a sales force, though, right? They got a sales force selling bumpkus.
I'm sure the sales force of the bankrupt company is really not looking for jobs 24/7. So anyway.
Well, goodbye, poor Eaglets.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's not goodbye. I mean, they did Chapter 11, but then
these guys could kick around for another 10 years.
Yeah. I mean, you can. I mean, I don't think it will.
Pernix took since 2015 to flop.
Yeah, but that's not that long.
Well, it's 2019
I mean,
now.
dude, Zoma's
It's
been
4
around for
years.
how long?
Zoma's been around for a really long time.
Yeah. So, if you can't do as well as Zoma, just don't even bother.
Yes.
Yeah. So.
When Zoma is really good at staying alive. All right.
Okay, we're I'm out of stuff.
All right, that's great. So again, everything that we say does not constitute advice of any sort. You'd have to be stupid to listen to us. And
unless you feel like watching The Bachelor, that's great advice.
You can watch
Yes.
The Bachelor as much as you like, but it's not medical advice and it's not investment advice. So don't do either one of those things based on anything that we say.
Although if you want to, you could lose some weight.
Anyway, well, that's it. Close it up. We'll see you next week.
Yeah.
Bye.
Okay, bye.
Our theme music is by Hazar.